Oh, I'm doing good. How about you?
Pretty good.
Cool, cool.
Hey, quick question.
Sure.
Okay, I went ahead and put those reverse compensation settings in.
Okay.
Okay, the 1 meter per second, that is just 1,000 millimeters. Is how I should have put that in, right?
Yeah, I believe all those values are in millimeters, and your units in Lightburn need to be set to millimeters too, and until you get all that stuff set, I believe. I'm not
Yeah.
100% positive on that.
Well, it was just it wasn't giving me an option to change out of millimeters
Yeah.
to meters, so
Yeah, if it's
I
not
just
handled by the global conversion, by clicking the little inches and millimeters icon, next to the next to the font, then it'll always be that. It'll always be
yeah.
in millimeters. So
Okay.
I think let me double check that.
Okay. You're in now, so
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was looking in mine, but now that you're up, so we'll pop that thing out. All right. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, so it looks like you're good connected to the laser,
yeah.
and all that's good. Let's take a look. Where was it? You're set to millimeters per second right now,
Uh huh. Okay.
and
Here's what I was talking about. Let me grab this a
yeah, go
second.
ahead, drive. Yeah, get to the reverse compensate, the scanning offset adjustments. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whenever let's see, where
I think yeah, device settings.
right there. Now that's how it should be, right?
That is millimeters, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, like on my card here, it has 200 millimeters,
Uh huh.
400 millimeters, six, 800, and then it has just 1 meter per second.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's 1,000 millimeters. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to
Right.
double check to make
Right.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. You got it, man. Now you know that won't
Okay,
work unless you toggle that switch on.
okay. I
So
remember you saying something about that. You said just to leave it off till I got all those put in.
right. Right. And you might want to run a square like it shows in that design, with a real big scan gap so you can see the lines.
Uh
And
huh.
and do one with it on and one with it off and see if you can even see a difference. That's kind of neat to mess with. But yeah, so um, okay, so and there's that. So yeah, you should be good to go. I'm gonna leave it off for now. You can always pop that back on, and
Okay.
I'm guessing
Don't
okay.
have camera yet.
Okay, cool. So
So that probably would mess up you recording. This is
yeah. Well, no, not for the workflow because this is still going to be we can still cover all the things, um, basic, to get a first job out. You don't have, and they don't need a camera to do that. So this will be great. Have you done anything in this in Lightburn? Have you played around in it or sent a job to the laser or done anything? What's
uh,
gone on so far?
I haven't had a chance to do very much since last week when we was. I've been trying to get everything lined up, get ready for the surgery and everything, so I haven't had much time to do
Sure.
anything with
Okay.
it. And I was going to ask you about the camera.
Okay.
Um, okay, where I am using Ethernet,
Mm-hmm.
um, I would be able to just use this USB port on the machine for the camera without using that box, the hub, right?
Right. Yeah, there's an adapter. That hub is a really good way to go. That one that's in that document, that knowledge base document. But it's not always necessary. That's our industrial solution that matches the quality of the laser. That doesn't mean you have to use it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Um,
well, and that's for most people if they're using USB cord, right, instead of Ethernet.
right, right. Yeah, if you're controlling the laser with Ethernet, then you've got your USB available if you want to repurpose it solely for the camera. And
Yeah, I think I can do that instead of,
okay, in that
or,
instance, then all you need is this little adapter, and I'll show you where it is. So let me go back up here on the laser. Let me see if we can. Yeah. Okay. This PC
yeah,
cord, that's a USB A, and that's a
uh-huh,
female. And basically, this is an extension cable. There's a male end just like this on the other side that plugs into the Roida control panel. I mean, into the
okay,
controller. Okay.
uh-huh,
Um, so you can kind of see that from here.
yeah,
It plugs in here. So what they've done, or what you do, is unplug the USB from the Roida controller and put this little
uh-huh,
adapter on it and just plug your camera straight into it. You don't need all this other stuff. Um,
okay,
you see what? Because you're already running Ethernet. So, whoops,
okay,
I clicked it again. I have a little bit of lag here. Um, so here's the adapter, and basically what it does, it turns that cord that goes to the Ruida controller, the USB input,
uh-huh,
into a USB connector that the camera will fit to. So all you're doing is adapting the camera to where the controller used to be connected.
okay.
Um, so that's how that works, and I think I've got a link for that thing. I scrolled past it.
I believe so.
Oops, yeah, I need to go up. Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
right.
Whoa, hold still. I should let you drive.
Well, it's probably my internet
Yeah.
because it's
Well,
kind of about ready to storm here, looks
gotcha.
like, and I've got satellite internet.
Gotcha. And it shows currently unavailable, but they're like $6. But this is what you're looking for: Type A female to Type B female F converter.
Okay,
So you can just search that in Amazon and find one, and you got that visual. You can look and make sure that it's the right one. So,
okay,
in essence, that cable that used to plug into the Ruida controller for the USB will plug here, and then you'll plug your camera in there, and then you're good to go.
okay.
So,
Well, yeah, by sending that other camera back and now being able to send this hub back, I mean that's gonna pay for my camera and my mount.
right, right. So, absolutely. Okay. So you said you had some sample stuff, some materials.
I Right now I have some birch plywood.
Okay.
It is 0.5 millimeters is the thickness of
Okay. Half a millimeter. Okay.
it. Yep.
All right. Cool. And so we won't have to pour the power to it to do this little thing. So have you? Okay. Let's just do a something simple. Okay. First of all, how what's the approximate dimension of that sample that you've got to play
Uh,
with your scrap?
I've got a piece in there right now that is 48 inches wide and 24 inches deep.
Okay, so you got plenty. Now, do you prefer to work in inches?
Do what?
Do you prefer to work in inches or millimeters when you're working on here? As far as reference and
Uh,
everything.
Inches would probably be better
Okay.
for me. That's what I'm used to.
Okay. So here's where you can toggle it. You can go from
Okay.
millimeters to inches just like that quick.
Okay.
Okay. So and even if you need to enter something in metric, because somebody gave you that value, you could switch to millimeters, put in that distance or whatever, that value, and then switch back, and it'll convert. Um, so and you've got it up in the pretty much in the left hand top corner is where you got the corner. You just have it set up there as usual. Okay. So it basically takes up pretty much the whole bed, all the way, from
Yeah.
almost here, to here. So we can kind of
Mhm.
kind of visualize that, and if you're starting off, you could always do a square, and
Yeah.
make
Do like a boundary box.
yeah, right, just to get your visual, and then it can be any size, and then what you can do is unlock it so that the aspect ratio can change, and then you can actually make this. Now here's something cool. Now you can type in 48, or you can do 24 plus 24, which is 48, and it'll
Yeah.
do. You can do math in those, So
Okay.
that's kind of neat. Um, and then you said it was approximately 24.
Yeah.
Okay, so and then you can also align it. Right now the origin is here, but you can do this number right here, and we can go up here and make the X position and Y position both 0, and it'll put it dead, right where it needs to
Okay.
be. Of course, you don't have to be that perfect. We're just going to use this as a visual representation of, since we don't
Yeah.
can't see your material. So, okay, that's the area we have to work with. We'll do a small area, so I'm going to delete that. And
Okay.
let's just do some text. Let's do hello. And if you'd like, I can let you drive and I can narrate, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's fine.
So let's do hello. And now every time, let me drive for one more minute.
Okay.
Every time I go to do something, you can hit escape to get back. You need to get back to your pointer, okay?
Yeah, we were talking about that the other night.
Yeah. And so a lot of times, and I think we talked about you can, go to draw a square, which we'll use in just a minute. And then you might go up here to move hello and you might click and select.
Yeah.
And you've actually made another square, and I always used to just click right here, but you can just hit escape twice and you're back to your, so that's a neat little thing. You're back to your select. So you can use your escape key to get out of those menus quickly. So we're going to delete that. Now let's use this square, except let's get it a little bit. So we're going to put it around that hello. So
Okay.
that looks about right. So I'm going to control A, and that's going to select everything. And I want to center it both directions so I can use this. And now we've got something that looks like that.
Mhm.
But now it's all one color, okay, and it shows fill. So what do you think is going to happen to this if we look at it in the preview window, if all of this is set to engrave?
If all of it is set to engrave, it's just going to do the whole background.
Yep, and then leave the letters alone. So
Yeah.
you've made a leather stamp, a debossing stamp, if you mirror it.
Yeah.
So um, that's the way that goes. So let's make that fill. Let's make the outside. We're going to cut it out. So we'll grab the rectangle and assign a different layer to it. And it's already set to line. So now, of course, when we look in the preview, it's probably going to look closer to what we're wanting. So there we go with that. And we loaded your library already, I think. But I might, if you don't mind, I'll just give a brief summary of that. Let's put your shape properties tab on there. And this is what you'll use for images too. If you want to manipulate images within Lightburn, is the shape properties tab. But with vector images and things like this, you can do stuff like power scale and all that. But here's the one that I was going to do, is the corner radius, so that we can give that thing, so it's not so squared off. So that's a simple way to do that. So now we've got our job. Now you can go back here to zoom to extents, and that way you're looking at your whole bed again. Now notice you have it in current position. Did you do that? Were you messing? Have you played with the different origin
Yeah, I'm
things?
playing with it a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So just to recap for others, there's a little red box up in the top left, and that represents home and where the end stops are, the sensors for the head. And when you're in absolute position, I'm going to change it for just a minute. Absolute coordinates. It's going to calculate everything from that 0, 0 point. You notice that green box moved. I'll explain that in a minute. So what you see is what you get. If you take this art and you move it, say over here, that's precisely where it's going to go on the laser. So you can do it that way, and that's the mode that I usually use when I do camera stuff, because you've got an overlay. But since you don't, you had it right. You were using current position, right?
Yeah.
And then that's where you get your little green box, and you can set your job origin for this work. And for instance, if you set that in the middle, wherever you put your laser head, that's where it's going to be represented right in the center of that, and then it'll put the artwork around it. So you've got the material on there. Did you autofocus it so that it's all ready? Okay. So you're ready to output a job.
Yeah, I wanted to double check with you on the air assist.
Okay.
Didn't you say before that you run both of yours wide open?
Yeah, I used to, but I've started playing with it, and I do notice some not significant differences, but I'm starting to notice some differences as I play with it. So I've got my high stage or cut stage. I've got it wide open, and I moved my engrave one down to where I can just barely feel some flow coming out. just to maintain positive pressure in the nozzle to keep the smoke off the lens.
Okay.
So that's the way I set mine. And luckily, they put those little green test buttons on there where you can kick those stages on, and feel and adjust without having to do a bunch of weird stuff in a menu or something. That's kind of handy. So, and so I'm going to move your job origin back to upper left because that's the way you had it in current position. And from here on out, I'm going to let you drive and see how you think this ought to be set up.
Okay.
And I don't think we looked at speed and power yet. That might be something we should look at. You said that was some pretty thin stuff.
Yeah.
So let's go in the library. And you said that was ply. It was birch ply. So
Yeah.
we've got a no thickness here, which would be for engrave. So we can select that layer. Then we'll select our engrave layer and assign it. And that looks like the correct setting. Now, you said that stuff. That might. What do you think about that? I need to switch to millimeters.
Yeah.
To be able to think sometimes. So let's go back to ply. Okay, there's a 2 millimeter, and there's a 4.5 millimeter. You said it was half millimeter.
Yes.
Okay, we'll just do the 2. It might be a little hot, we might turn it down just a little. So we're going to pick line, and then we'll assign that layer. And if you guys that are watching this don't have your library yet, we do have a article on how to do that. But these settings can be done manually. You don't have to have the library to do that. So it's set to 180 millimeters per second at 60 power. I don't know. Let's give that a shot.
Okay.
And I think it's ready. So since we're using, let me go back to the laser tab. Since we're using current position, wherever you put your laser head is going to be representative of that green box. So if you put your laser head up in the top left corner, that's where, it's going to index. It's going to reference the point where the laser is. I always hit origin, and I was told by the developers that that's not necessary in one of these modes, and I've been playing with that today, and for some reason I still need to hit origin after I get the head in the position that I wanted on, over on the machine. And maybe it's because I'm not moving it from Lightburn. I need to investigate that a little more, but I don't want to jump down that rabbit hole, in this session. So basically all you need to do is move your head. Now, is your bed clear, and can your gantry move unaided and everything? All right, so let's do it. Let's do it with this. You can set your laser position anywhere on the laser just by clicking. It should go where my cursor was, and you can show last position. You can toggle that on, or was it on? Oh, okay. It didn't. It's over in the home. Now, let me do it again. Did the head move?
It's moving now.
Okay, there we go. Now, see, here's your crosshairs. There's where I moved the head. So here's what's going to happen. If you send this job to the laser set to current position with that green box up to that side, no matter where this artwork is on the screen, I did it again. See, I made the laser head move.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it back where kind of we want it and click out. Go back to select. So what's going to happen is it's going to put that artwork up here no matter where it is on the work area, because it's going to line up with that green box just like this. So if you put your head over there, hit origin. I got to check on that, but for now, just hit origin on the controller, and your work should come out right there.
Okay.
So now, do you want to send it to the laser, or do you want to have it start it and everything? If so, you can go ahead and close the lid. If you're focused and the bed's clear.
I think I'm just going to send everything to the laser.
Okay, now do you want to send it and then operate it from the control panel, or do you want to have it go ahead and start the job, go ahead and initiate the process? It can be automated.
Is there a better way, is one way better than the other?
I've gotten used to sending them over and then just pulling them up on the controller. But here's the difference. If you just hit send, and maybe I should go through all these real quick for those. that might be watching this. If you hit the start button, it's going to stream the data to the laser. And if they're, especially with USB, because they are prone to noise and things like that, if there's an interruption in any of that data transfer, it will affect the connection. And if you're doing a big job, it may corrupt the job. So I always send mine to the controller. That way it resides in the controller's memory, and then it runs from the controller. So it's a whole lot more stable way to run. Now, if you're doing something like this, I wouldn't even worry about it. But if you're doing an image, a high-res image on a piece of canvas that's going to take you 3 hours, I would not hit start because 2 hours into it, lightning might strike your neighbor's house, and then your USB connection goes out and you've lost your work. So I hope that doesn't happen. So if you just hit send, it'll send it to the laser. And let's just do that real quick. We'll just go through the motions. And I think I clicked it. It failed. Hang on. Oh, okay. It may be paused. You need to hit escape a couple times on the controller and back out of everything, I think.
Okay.
And let's try it again. Okay, and we'll just call it hello, since that's what it is. And okay. All right, now that sent it to the laser. Now you can hit your file button and find the file, hit enter, and then frame it, and make sure that orientation is right. You can hit your frame button, and then you can start it from there. So the other option is to hold down the shift key, and if you hover over some of these keys, you'll see some tooltips pop up. And if you hold, actually it's Alt-Shift-S, it will send the job and start it. So it or initiate the process automatically. So it's just like hitting start, except it transfers the entire file to the controller and then powers up the job instead of streaming like it does with start. So does that make sense? It just automates it where you don't have to walk over to the machine, locate the file, pull it up, and then hit start. It'll automate it. So do you want to try that?
Yeah, let's try that.
Okay.
Well, let me back out of everything here.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what keys did you say, Brian?
I was holding shift and hitting send, and it was working. But when you hover over this key, let me move and then hover back over. It says Alt plus Shift plus S. Now I was holding shift and hitting send. The Alt Shift S is the hotkey for it.
Okay.
But I think shift and clicking send will do the same thing. It should start the laser. It may say there's a file overwrite because it still does send it to the controller. I don't know if they have it written in there to automatically overwrite or ignore that or what, but yeah.
Yeah.
But whenever you feel froggy, you push that button.
Let's see here. So, Alt plus Shift.
Yeah, hold Alt Shift and then hit S. Hold them all three together in that order, and hold them down, and it should fire up the laser.
Wait, hang on, let me. There it goes.
That's fine. Did it start?
No.
Okay. Let me try holding down shift and just clicking the send button.
Okay, hang on, let me back up here. Okay, go ahead.
It may be because that file is already, there may be something going on. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shift send again. Or is it alt send? I swear shift send did it. And I'm going to call it hello 2.
Okay.
And see if it'll go straight through. There it goes. So you got to call it something that's not already in the system. A file name that's not in the system. Is it behaving?
Yeah.
Cool. One thing I didn't look at was the line interval that we had set. Okay, good. 0.08. That's good.
Oh, let's see what it looks like. I just sent you a picture also.
Okay, perfect. Did it cut all the way through?
Now, did cut out with No, it looks like it went about halfway through.
Okay. So there's a couple of things we can do there. Um, First, you can move your head over next time, and we'll just do something right next to it. But let's see here. I thought that sounded a little high, so let's drop the speed to like 80
Okay.
and leave the power at 60 and run it again. Let's see. Everything else looks all right, I think. Air assist on. Oh, that's one thing I didn't check in your fill to see which air assist stage we had on. Yeah, see, we'll turn off air assist on engraved this time. See if you notice a difference. Do you have your set at different volumes?
Yeah, I've adjusted the low side down.
Okay.
Quite a bit.
Perfect. All right. So really, you've already got. Oh, we need to resend the job so it'll have these new settings. Okay. So.
Okay.
We'll just call it Hello
So
3.
we need to change the position.
Yeah, and I can do it from here, or you can do it from there.
You can go ahead and do it.
Okay.
Feature.
So I'm going to use the map point, and I'm just going to move the head. Is everything clear? Everything out of the way?
Yeah, everything's fine.
Okay, so we're going to move the head over here. And now it should go beside it. So,
yeah.
And like I said, I'm still unclear about that origin thing.
I'll go ahead and hit it.
Yeah, because I mean, maybe I just didn't hold my mouth right, but it wasn't acting just perfect. So it can't go wrong that way anyway. And it may be the other one. I read about those, and I played with it momentarily today with the different things. All right, so it should be ready. So you want to hold down the shift key and just click the send button, and we'll fire that thing over there again.
Well, it's not done anything. Shift and S is not.
Hold down shift and click the send button with your mouse.
Okay.
Wonder what that was up with.
I don't know.
And make it Hello 3 or something different. Yeah. There you go. There you go. And the engraved stage, the low stage of the air should be on now. That light, did it sequence correctly?
Yeah, I can tell a big difference in the amount of smoke now.
Yeah.
You know, the first time there was quite a bit, but now there's not hardly any at all around the.
Yeah, with it on full blast, it creates more of a jet, and it kind of pierces through the smoke, but doesn't really, dissipate it. It just kind of shoots through it. And I think having that more of a whiff of air, a steady, I think that actually that diffused air actually helps, mediate that a little bit. So, does the engraving look any different? Can you tell just from the air pressure being different?
Yeah, it looks a little darker.
Okay, well that makes sense. Cause
I'll send you a picture of it.
Okay, yeah, a picture both would be cool. I can add that to the content, so that'd be great. So, but I mean, as far as the workflow on the machine, how do you feel about doing that? After do you want to run one solo and play, or or you want to wing it and play a little bit, and if we need to do another session, of course we can do that too. I've got
What's
time.
that now?
I was going to say, do you want to work on anything else on here? I mean, that's pretty much the basics. You know, use your preview window a lot.
Yeah.
That saves me a bunch, and sometimes I don't look at it and it costs me. And of course,
No, it still didn't cut that out.
okay.
Maybe I was wrong on my thickness.
Yeah, 1/2 millimeter is pretty thin, man. That's like a.
Let me hang on just a second.
Okay. Usually that birch comes in like the 3-ply. I think's around 3 millimeter or something like that.
It's about 3/16.
Okay, all right. That's pretty standard. All right, so all right, let's do this. We're gonna go back to inches, and I'm gonna go back over to the library.
That's gonna be probably the hardest learning curve there for me is,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
everything I'm used to doing is in, inches.
Right. Well, we of course it'll do inches. You just got to select it. So
Yeah.
3/16 is like 0.187. There's 177. That's pretty close. So what we can do is pop that one in and then just bump up the power a little bit or slow it down just a skosh, So
Okay.
let's go ahead and assign that to that layer and see if it changes. And it did significantly. It dropped your speed to 32.
Okay. I've got a question also on,
Sure.
like, with the speed and power, is it better to slow your speed down than to increase your power, as far as the longevity of the laser tube?
Well, I mean,
Really makes a difference.
no, again, that's a good rabbit hole, and I'm sure there are good arguments either direction, and a lot of it is just not only personal preference, but when you find that sweet spot,
Yeah.
no matter what it is, it's just what it is. And sometimes, sometimes it's faster speed and lower power, or faster speed and higher power, or lower speed, you know what I mean? As far as the longevity of the machine goes, if you think about it, even if you're saving on the tube, if you make 2 or 3 passes and have to go twice as fast or something like that, you've got mechanical wear and tear going on too. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, I think,
Yeah, exactly.
as far as mechanically and the physics behind it. Workflow wise and what the output looks like and that kind of thing is really what's the caveat to making sure you got your speed and power really dialed in and do a lot of experimentation with it. So this ought to get you a lot closer to cutting through, except I would even probably take it to 30, just to be safe. And then you can tell if you have a little too much power cutting through, you'll get a lot of flashback on the backside. Sometimes you get that anyway, especially on the honeycomb bed. But theoretically, if you're only using enough laser power to get through the material, there's not a whole lot of energy left over to reflect, at least in theory. But in theory, you can put all the parts of a motor in a box and you shake it long enough, it'll put itself together. But we know that's not happening. So, all right, so let's move our head over a little bit. And am I good to do that? Everything's still free? Okay, so I'm going to move it over approximately like that. That ought to be pretty close. I think. Are we communicating? Let me go back to the laser.
Yeah.
Did it move? Okay. All right, it just took me a minute. Okay. And if you want to resend that thing, we'll give it a shot.
I think this one, I'm going to send it to the controller.
Okay, perfect. Now,
and then,
yeah, perfect. Do that, and then as that's going, I got something that I want to make a note about about sending files instead of starting, because it does load your memory up on your controller and you have to go in there and clean it out.
No.
If it gets too full, it won't accept any more files. If there's something you use every couple of days and you just need it and you use it constantly, sure, leave it in there.
Exactly.
But if it's stuff like this and, one-offs and that kind of thing, you do it once a month or whatever, clear that memory out, and that way you can keep sending your jobs without them failing. So. All right, and off it goes. So, have you seen the file tab on Lightburn?
What's that now?
There's a file tab, the file list here in one of the tabs.
Uh-huh.
And if you don't see any of this stuff, you can add it up here in the window button. You can turn these different tabs and windows on and off, which you almost got all yours on. That's cool. You'll be using all that stuff before too long. But on the file list, you'll notice it's empty. It doesn't update in real time. You'll have to refresh it. And I'm thinking that it'll talk to the controller. It should. Yeah, there we go. See, you've got 4 files piled in there. I don't know how big they are. But you can hit delete all files, or you can just select the ones that you want to do. And after you delete, I think you have to refresh again.
Okay.
And hopefully it'll cut through that time.
Well, I noticed that time when it, when it cut, there was a lot less, smoking up and charring of the
Yeah. Well,
of the wood.
yeah, because it's perforated the material, and all of that stuff is being blown down through the bottom.
Cut it out.
Yep. So that's how you know you're getting a good clean cut if you don't have all that stuff, because it should be going out the bottom if everything's correct.
Uh-huh. And I mean, that's got a real good. I snap another picture and send to you.
Okay.
I'm sending you those pictures on Messenger.
Okay, perfect. So cool. So that's basically how that works.
Okay.
Is there anything else you can think of right at the moment that you wanted that you had?
No,
Okay.
not really.
Yeah.
Because we adjusted my. Did we adjust my scan?
The scan gap?
Yeah, scan gap.
Yeah, I looked at it and it was set to 0.08, which is
Okay.
pretty good on that. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll double check it. Yeah, 0.08. It's about 318 LPI. So yeah. And if you want to get a little better, you could probably drop it to 0.06. But what I usually do if I'm engraving is I'll pull a millimeter or so out of focus and go at 0.08, and it'll kind of smooth those lines out a little bit, and even it out. So
Yeah. Because that's one thing I noticed on this. You can, see just a little bit. Nothing real bad.
yeah. So I mean, you can keep creeping your line interval down until until they overlap, so you don't get those striations, that banding, if you're seeing any of that stuff.
Okay. Good deal.
So, and we're going to do some more of these, and I'm probably going to do a webinar and get 3 or 4 people in, and just kind of have a round table, and everybody can share their screens and discuss things and ask questions. So we're going to keep doing that. And if you want to be involved in any of those, I'll be glad to. I'll be putting them on the groups when we do it. So.
And hopefully, if everything goes okay and I can get in here in time, I'm going to try to have my camera installed next week.
Okay.
Sometime.
All right. Well, I'll be around if you need some help with that too. And if I haven't sent you the official videos on it, the Lightburn stuff is the best stuff to use. That all of that's available. Let me show that real quick for these guys that are getting into Lightburn a little bit. In the help section, first and foremost, the support forum is the best way to get the answers straight from the horse's mouth. There's this quick help and notes, and that'll show you a lot of the common keyboard hotkeys and the gestures and things like that. And then also, let me go back up there. You've got the online documentation. I think it's updated more than the PDF, so I usually look at the online. And then there's some video tutorials here, to get started. So, and that'll take you to their YouTube channel where there's probably some videos that aren't in this list, on that playlist. Maybe it is, for the camera and things like that. So, and just real quick, I'm going to go back to your browser if that's all right. I think Thunder Laser's up on it anyway. Yeah, here it is. So I don't know if you noticed. I think you've probably been on there, but for those, there's that new users part here, and it has a lot of this stuff. And you may have gone through some of this. Let me scroll through it real quick. But using the rotary, setting it up, diagnostics, unboxing, preparing if I can get it to hold still. And this session is going to go here on the first run. On running your first job, I'm gonna use you as a guinea pig, so we can show others how to do a starting run. And the knowledge base.
I really want to have my camera.
Yeah.
Installed,
Yeah. Well, that's cool, but it's also good to show that you don't have to have the camera to do stuff. It's neat. But some people really dig it. I think it's a game changer, and some people, it's okay, but it's not really their thing, and that's fine. But I've got this search bar now too. It's talking about cameras. You can just start typing, and it'll bring up all the articles that have camera in it. So that's an easy way to find information on anything, exhaust or whatever you're looking for. So we've added a smart search on the site to help find information easier. So, all right, man. I think that's all I got. If you don't have anything else, I'll call this one off. And if we need to do another one, or you want to pop back on, or if you have any questions, you know where to get me. So.
Yeah, I've got a few files that I'm going to play around with, and
okay.
That's the main thing.
Sure.
Right now it's just getting used to Lightburn a little bit.
Right. Well,
I'm good to go.
Yeah. Well, like I said, play around with it a little bit, and if you have any questions, hit me up. So, we'll get you through them. So.
I'll do it.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate it.
Bro.
Okay. Have a good evening.
See you, bud.
Bye-bye.